Hey, what's going on? This is Mark Lane. Hey, I'm shooting this video as essentially just a way to explain what's going on, some changes, and more than anything, an invitation to follow along on the journey. So right now, where things are at, I've been doing real estate for, this will be my 16th year this summer. Left John Deere as a factory worker 16 years ago, and been into real estate investing ever since. Have sold, wholesale and flipped many hundreds of houses. I currently own a rental portfolio of about just a little bit over 12 million, about 40 nice Class A, B single family homes. So it's been a great journey leading up to this point. I've had a ton of growth. Made a lot of money. Own a good amount of properties. I would say for the most part everything that I wanted to do. And so I think that's really kind of where I'm at, and why this change is happening is because, when I have goals or ambitions, I'm looking to get what I want out of that thing, right? And I don't want to spend too long there, or I certainly don't want to spend my life there if I'm not continuing to grow. And so I think that's kind of where it has me wanting to change, is because, I've accomplished essentially everything I want to accomplish. I feel like I've hit a level of mastery in sales and marketing, and buying houses and selling houses and rehabbing houses and property management, all the stuff that goes into houses. I feel like I've hit a level of mastery there. I don't feel like there's really much growth left for me. Now, certainly, if I chose to, I could just stay on this path and keep adding in house after house after house, more and more rentals, selling more houses. And I could do that for the next 20 years and have a very significant pile of houses and exceptional net worth at the end of it. But I would be repeating the same thing and essentially not growing and evolving. And to me, when I look at my life's work, that's really what it comes down to. Not just trying to accumulate more, because that's really not that important to me, but it's growing and evolving at the same time. So here's kind of where we're at and where we're going. Is I was thinking of what's going to inspire me to take something to a much higher level. Something that's going to get me excited to wake up in the morning. Something that's going to take, I don't know, many years, a decade, maybe 2 decades to get there, something that big. And currently, about the biggest I can think is getting to 100 million. That's a number most people certainly don't ever get to, and it's what makes sense to me. And honestly, it doesn't seem overly difficult. In fact, even though I know it'll be challenging, it actually seems relatively simple. And here's what I mean by that is, when I look at, if I'm looking at buying, let's just say multi-units, multifamily, and I look at good quality, kind of what we do now, good Class A, Class B type of multifamily, those units will go for about 150,000 each. That equals about 666 units, right? Not really that crazy. And also, if I look at the rent that those would be paying, which would be roughly about $1,500 a month, that comes up to, I believe it's right at about $1 million per month in rental income. Also one of my goals. So having those two goals accomplishes what I want to accomplish, at least for now. And more than anything, I'm sure there will be some people saying, well, why do you need to make that much money? Why do you need to grow that much? And because they're short-sighted thinking, they're small thinking, they are making it all about the money. To me, it's not really about the money at all. It's about who I become in the process. Because I know without question that who I have to be to build a $100 million portfolio is far different and a far bigger quality of person than who I am now. And so I want something big enough that pulls the very best out of me. And that's likely going to pull me into much more leadership, which I currently don't really do. It's just myself and my assistant, and we run a very small, profitable and nimble business. But it will require that that I focus on leadership, that I groom and grow people, and that I surround myself with the best people out there, that I surround myself with the best coaches and mentors, that I'm essentially always expanding and growing to the best version of myself. And when I look at my life, the end of my life, right, which is hopefully going to be many decades from now, but I want to be able to say that I did my absolute best in every area of my life. That I worked very hard in business. I grew it to the best that I could possibly do. I was a fantastic father. I was a fantastic husband, and I did my best, right? And if I stay where I'm at now, I won't be able to say that. I will be able to say that I got to a certain point and I settled. And I sometimes, I notice some people occasionally that, where you can tell they never really grew beyond their teenage self, right? They now might be in a 40-year-old or 50-year-old or 70-year-old body, but they still have that same development of what they were in high school. And so to me, that's the scariest thing there is. I don't really fear much else, but staying the same and never evolving and going to my deathbed being the same person, never growing, never evolving, never experiencing more. The journey, the ups, the downs, and all the chaos and triumphs and pitfalls, everything that happens in the middle, that's what it's all about. And sometimes, as hard as it can be, it's just, we look back and it's just filled with so many blessings and memories and people that we meet along the way. So all encompassing, that's what I'm doing. So point of this video is just kind of shed some light on it. So yes, I'm kind of going to be exiting single family. I remember talking to one of my mentors, probably just a year or two ago. And this has kind of been stirring for a while, where I kept feeling this pull to get into something bigger, but I just wasn't ready. And I was asking him, I said, man, sometimes I constantly feel like I need to do something different. I feel like I need to go in a different direction. And he said, you'll know when the time is right. And I feel like that time is now. So if I don't make the decision and start moving in that direction now, then I don't know when I will. So anyway, heading that direction. So the plan now to execute is, one, to get our current business income higher. So we're going to be aggressively pouring money into marketing, scaling that to essentially as big as we can, as fast as we can, getting more income coming in. That'll allow me to hire higher quality people. So something I'm doing different than I did many years ago when we had a bigger team is I'm not hiring from the bottom up. This time I'm going to be hiring from the top down and going straight to a high level COO that can help run the business, help grow it, help expand it, possibly go into other markets. But we'll see what happens there. But essentially looking at building higher income streams so that we have more income to invest into bigger projects. And so going to be steering into multifamily and commercial properties. It'll probably take, my guess would be, a year and a half to 2 years before we actually start buying, just because it's going to take that long to start to dissolve some of the single family houses we have now, with most of them having leases and such involved. So we've got to let those go, get some profits out, downsize things, or essentially, pull things back before we can expand. So it's going to be a lot of changes over the next couple of years, and certainly beyond that. So anyway, I want to invite you to follow along the journey. My desire, my goal is to be able to document everything along the way. So everything we're doing to grow the business or businesses, hiring, profits, numbers, walking bigger properties, making offers, everything involved. So my goal is to be able to document this entire journey and share it with you along the way. So join along, and we'll see you then.